up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Rants with Abby and friends. Of course, I'm Abby, and I got my two friends in the house. We got Guy, we got Sean. We got a full house today. But before I get into all the sports topics today, Sean, how was your housewarming party last week?
It was a blast. We had like 30 people over. Uh, we went for like 7 hours. It was a really good time. And I was really thankful to have that many people over to, hang out with us. So, yeah, can't
Well,
complain.
you were missed on the show last week by not only us but several people in the chat as well. So we're glad to have you back. And then Guy, how are you? I see you got, is it New Jersey Devils? Is that what it is?
Yeah, with the Christmas colors, throwback.
I feel that. Well, you're always swagged out, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and get into some NFL discussion today. So the first thing I want to get into is the injuries that happened this week, because there were several. Of course, Pat Mahomes, Micah Parsons. So, Guy, I guess what was your? I mean, there's just we've talked about it before on the show. Several injuries throughout the course of the year already. And I guess I just want to know what are your thoughts? Obviously, it's a big problem at this point, but what are your thoughts on the injuries? Does it hurt either one of those teams? Of course, obviously, Chiefs are out, but more in terms of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, yeah, whenever one of your best players gets those type of injuries, Achilles, ACL tears, anything like that, that's very detrimental to, their short-term and maybe long-term health. The Packers, have a good chance of maybe making the Super Bowl this year. Micah Parsons was going to be a big part of that on their defense. So I think that definitely hurts them. In a very competitive NFC, and who knows, God forbid, the injuries that might happen in the next couple of weeks is just an inevitable part of the game that really sucks, and we could study to see how we could try to prevent all these injuries, but we seem to have not come to a consensus on how, if they should train better or more efficiently or get more rest or, hydration, sleep, whatever the case may be. It's just a growing problem. It's like almost every week, there's like a major injury of some sort. And, I guess it could hurt the bottom line if you're looking at it from a business standpoint. Like if Mahomes got hurt earlier in the year, how much, would it hurt the overall product and interest in the game? I know they've done a lot to protect their investments, like with quarterbacks, with changing the rules and making the game more safe for the players. But yeah, I mean, injuries suck across the board. Nobody wants to see that.
Sean, anything to add to what Guy said about the injuries?
Yeah, just honestly, it sucks. I will say the good thing for these guys, I guess, in a sense, is that medicine has come so far along that these used to be like 12 to 18-month injuries. These guys will be ready to go before the season starts next year, at the very least by like week 2 or 3. So that's always a positive per se. It sucks to lose. We lose two superstars in a matter of hours, and that was really tragic. Especially the Chiefs. Realistically, they were probably out anyways. So like it is what it is in a sense. It does suck. You never want to see Patrick Mahomes get hurt. But the Mike injury is the bigger one simply because he's a force to be reckoned with, right? Like he requires two people to be on him. He brings a facet to the game that not a lot of players do. And when you're pushing for the playoffs and pushing to win a division, you don't want to ever lose a player like that.
Well, and they also paid so much for him to get him over there,
Yeah.
and it just sucks to kind of see it culminate into this. Obviously, wishing those guys the best in the recovery. I know Pat Mahomes seems like he's already had surgery. Adam Schefter reported earlier today that he's already in rehab. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Sean. Like they'll be back in like 9 months or so. If they're going to be the same, totally different story. But
I mean,
Oh
for
man.
Mahomes, it's a little bit better because he's a quarterback, right? Like he does run a lot and do whatever it may be, but he can be a pocket passer too. And Mahomes and Micah, I know one thing about both of them, they're both tough sons of guns, right? So like they're gonna come back, they're gonna push themselves to the limit, and yeah, TJ, I do think that knocks him out. I just think that offense isn't good enough to hang with a lot of the other teams, and that defense was a real anchor for like all of their success. Like Jordan Love's looked okay the last couple weeks, but now Christian Watson had that huge shoulder injury. They're saying he's going to play this week, but you never want to see one of your stars as well in offense get hurt, which he did. But I just think the Packers aren't good enough on both sides of the ball to be a contender.
I agree. Well, let's get into some of our games because I know me and Guy's games in particularly were not very good, but we do have some news coming out of them. So, Guy, we're going to start with your game. We're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins Steelers. And obviously, the breaking news today that Tua is now going to be benched. And so, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's about time. It's not like he was a difference maker out there. Uh, he has regressed so much over the years. I don't know if his brain is actually really damaged because some of the processing that quarterbacks go through when they're going through the plays, like if he's rolling out to his left. I remember twice where he did that and he took sacks instead of throwing the ball away, or there was a time where he tried to slide for a first down and was short, but he was kind of in between. He plays in between, very indecisive, and that is a recipe for disaster if you want to get an injury, and he's already injury prone and he's not mobile. His decision making sucks. I mean, yeah. I mean, all that being said, though, like he's been given a lot of chances to, try to make something work, and it hasn't worked. I've seen enough of him. It's time for him to move on to something else. The cap hit is crazy, so we're stuck with him for at least another year. And that sucks. And we're gonna see what Ewers has. We got nothing to lose, right? We're we the little run that the Dolphins did, winning despite his quarterback play, I think needs to be commended. Because I think in the other parts of the game, running and actually playing defense, they've improved, and actually their commitment to playing a more physical brand of football. And if you want to do that, I don't think he meshes with that kind of change in philosophy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that cap hit because Tua is still owed somewhere over $141 million over the next couple of years, and it would be the largest like dead cap hit ever. I think it's like 99 million or something like that. Sean, I know we were talking in the chat earlier when this news first broke, and I believe you disagreed with Guy a little bit as far as the benching, if I'm correct, if I remember correctly earlier today. I know you made a comment about Tua benching. Do you want to add on to what Guy said?
It wasn't that I disagreed with it. You just can't bench your starter when you're on a 4-game win streak. And they had won like 5 out of their last 6, right? And they beat Buffalo and then they beat a couple other teams they should have beat. You can't just like bench Tua for no reason when you're winning games, even if he's not the reason you're winning games. Like you have probably a top 6 running back in the league, I would say. Your defense has been keeping you afloat. You got to remember too, like they've also had some injuries, right? Like Tyreek Hill getting hurt. If you want to like say what his value is to the team or not, as far as like a liability, Tyreek Hill is still Tyreek Hill. He's still an uber talented receiver. And Jalen Waddle has done well, but I just don't watch Jalen Waddle play and think he's a wide receiver one. I think he's one of those receivers. To me, he's like a Juju Smith Schuster, where he's better as a wide receiver two, who ironically enough played behind Tyreek Hill and, played in that behind Antonio Brown, like those that's the type of player that I see Jalen Waddle as. Now, I'm fine with Quinn Ewers starting. Quinn Ewers at one point in time was a first round draft pick. He kind of played himself out of it his last year in Texas. He didn't look great. He was a highly touted high school kid, and he's a gunslinger. He can throw the ball, and that's kind of what Miami needs. I'm all for it. Give him a chance. I don't know when they drafted him. I don't know if it was like the third or fourth round or whatever, but like you got really nothing to lose. And frankly, if you're bad next year too, it doesn't really matter because like that draft class is really quarterback heavy, right? Like there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out, so I'd be okay with them not doing well, and if Quinn Ewers pans out to be something that he was projected to be at one point in time in his career, it's a win for y'all, right? Like you don't have to go waste a draft pick on a quarterback now. You can kind of build with him. So I'm okay with the way they handled things. I just think Tua, since all of the concussions, he just doesn't look good. You can tell there's hesitancy. You can tell like he doesn't see the game the way he used to, and it's a shame. But that's a byproduct of you know all the injuries he's had, and not wanting to slide and whatever else it may be.
I'm with both of y'all there. So speaking of someone who, well, we talked about Tua getting benched out of a starting job. Someone else who is out of a job is Steve Wilks, defensive coordinator of the New York Jets. He was, of course, relieved of his duties on Monday after the New York Jets got slaughtered by the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I could have told you. I mean, Sean, you weren't here, but on Wednesday, me and Guy took the spread easily at like 13 and a half. We just kind of skimmed over that. I'm going to get your guys' thoughts, but I want to share mine first. Obviously, as a New York Jets fan, it was, I saw this coming from a mile away. I'm surprised. The only thing is I'm surprised at the timing a little bit. I thought he was at least going to get the rest of the season. But then again, when you have a defense who was allowing 30 plus points in every single game, I can't blame you. And honestly, Aaron Glenn being a defensive minded head coach, I'm surprised he didn't take over the duty sooner. And I guess maybe from that perspective, I'm surprised you didn't let him go sooner. But again, this is not surprising in terms of Steve Wilks, considering he's been one and done several places. So Guy, I'm not going to talk about it too much because again, the New York Jets just absolutely got slaughtered. That defense was atrocious. Swiss cheese. I mean, they're banged up with injuries, but I also think Wilkes' scheme is not working well with the players, and the players aren't playing to the best of their abilities under him. So we're going to see if anything changes this week when we face the Saints. But Guy, anything additionally you want to add to that firing at all?
Yeah, I think it's just, a change of culture. You want to establish accountability in the organization. And if somebody is not performing to their level, not just the players, but the coaches as well, sometimes you're going to have to do that. And they've been historically bad, right? They still haven't gotten an interception, which is crazy. It's not even, it's inexplicable how you could not force an interception at all to this point of the year. But yeah, you could tell that there's something amiss between personnel and philosophy. So like you said, I thought Aaron Glenn was going to grab the bull by the horns and just take over the defense because you're a defensive guy. Rex Ryan would have done that back in the day. Maybe even Saleh would have did it. But, Wilkes wasn't that guy. So if you're trying to change the culture, you got to make moves like this.
I agree. Sean, anything else to add?
The Jets blow. I got nothing constructive to add to it. The Jags are really running the score up on them, and I was just sitting there watching it, and I'm like, ETN third touchdown of the day for no reason at this point. It was like, I felt like I was like, they're gonna put up 70 on them for fun. Like it was, yeah. I got nothing constructive to add because I just think the Jets suck.
I know, and I don't know how I'm even having like rants at this point because there's really nothing coming out of the game. But again, I'm trying to milk it because this is the best time as a content creator to have content because then we talk for like 7 months about the off season and it just gets super draining in the months between like the end of the season and the draft and whatnot. I do want to point out Shaq's comment right here. Appreciate you all joining us in the chat. Chat is very active today, which I am super happy. But obviously, keeping an eye on Las Vegas, obviously the Giants and Cleveland. If it were me personally at this point, I'm keeping an eye on the Giants, hopefully getting that number one pick, because it looks like right now Vegas is going to go with the quarterback. Obviously, there's one clear contender at this point, and we're going to go ahead and get into that. Obviously, we had the Heisman Award go out earlier this week as well. So, Sean, we'll go to your game, which was pissing me off, by the way. Couldn't believe it, but obviously, huge headline there. Obviously, biggest headline there is Philip Rivers coming out of basically retirement, not touching a football in like 5 years, and starting the game for the Colts. So, Sean, break it down for us. How'd you feel about the game?
I just feel like, thank God we got a top 3 kicker in the NFL. Because Jesus Christ, I was like, it's not like we had a bad game stats wise. Like, our offense was moving the ball, we just could not finish drives. I'm not taking away anything from Indy. Like, they're still obviously a good team, right? Like, they have a good defense. They've had a good defense all year. Philip Rivers is Philip Rivers. I thought we were going to be able to load the box, stop Jonathan Taylor, which we did. I don't think we've allowed a 100-yard rusher all year. This year, it's been 11 games, something like that. I don't remember the exact stat, but we haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in a significant amount of time. And we did, for the most part, stop Jonathan Taylor. But I just felt like we were going to have like 20 sacks. I thought we were going to be getting to Philip Rivers all day, and we really didn't. A win is a win. I mean, I'll take it. We needed that win. It's just not encouraged. It's just weird, right? Because we play the Rams tomorrow, obviously, right? On a short week. The Rams have no Devontae now, which is kind of a big deal, but we have no Charles Cross. Huge loss for us. We looked like this against the Rams last time and lost by 2, right? We squeaked. It was a huge win against Indy. I wouldn't call it a quality win at this point in the season because I think Indy's just spiraling and they look horrible. But a good win nonetheless, right? It keeps us in the playoff race. Our whole division is within like 2 games. I mean, I think even the Niners are like 9-4, 10-4, whatever they are. So it was a big win in context of things. Now, if we can beat the Rams this week, we own the division, right? That would be huge. But we have to be able to move the football, and it sucks because I'm playing JSN in fantasy this week. So, like, obviously I don't want him to do good, but, like, I want to see something out of us to where we're moving the ball and being able to score. And it's not, I was reading a lot about, like, oh, the Seattle offenses look bad this year. We're averaging, like, 27 points a game. They're, like, a top 8 offense in the league still, So it's not like it's just we have these games where we move the ball, move the ball, and then we get into field goal range, and like, we're okay with a field goal. Fuck it, we'll take a field goal. And it's like you can't rely on 6 field goals to win you a game every single week. So yeah, it was a very frustrating game, and I honestly turned it off about halfway through because I couldn't watch it. I was starting to get pissed. I'm like, there's no reason for this to even be occurring.
Right now, Guy. Before I get your thoughts, Sean, did you make the playoffs for fantasy?
Yeah, I had a first round. I actually got a first round bye too. So
Nice.
I will say I got absolutely fucked, for lack of better words. I'm playing. So TJ made the first round against this other guy in the league who has an absolutely loaded team. He finished as like the 6th seed, or the 5 seed rather. So the 5 and 6 seed won in the first round of our playoffs. So we have reseeding. So like we don't go by bracket, we go by seeding. So the 1 seed gets to play the 6 seed. That guy gets Drake London back this week, but like his team is significantly worse than the guy I'm playing. The guy I'm playing put up 190 last week, and TJ put up 180 to lose. Like
Damn.
I put up 170, which is still serviceable. I got Mike Evans off the waiver wire, so I got kind of lucky. I'm not gonna lie, but I like my team. Like I have Josh Allen, C-Mac, Mike Evans, J-Mo, Nico. Like I got a good shot. RJ Harvey, I got good news today that he's gonna play. Luckily, so I got a solid team. But this guy's got like fucking Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Josh Jacobs. His RB2 is like Aaron Jones, and then he has Chris Olave and Stephon Diggs. I'm like, guys' team is just kind of stacked. Stephon Diggs has kind of sucked the second half of the year, but I'm worried. Like I'm like, damn, I think I might just be playing for third place because this
Mhm.
guy's team is loaded. But you never know when you got Josh Allen, C-Mac going. Like it could be anything.
Guy, you made playoffs? Did you win this week?
Yeah, I won this week. So, I mean, kind of comfortably, but, you know, next week's going to be a barn burner. So I got Jalen Hurts on my team. So let's see what Jalen Hurts shows up. You know, he's been volatile this year. You know, they're not playing the Raiders, but they're playing the Commanders. So it could happen, but they also could play down to their competition, which kind of worries me. And I know they're trying to establish the run. So it could affect his stats a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
Well, we're going to get into one of these games here in just a second because I want to bring it up. But I'm going to tell you, I was playing against Kyle Pitts
Oh,
this week, and
Yeah,
could not
that's
believe
rough.
it.
That's
But
how
I
TJ's week started. 45 points on the dome. I'm like, oh, that's rough.
literally, and the thing is to only lose by 10 points, if I would have had, okay, so I should have just kept the Broncos defense in there, okay? I saw that the Niners, though, were playing the Titans.
oh.
And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll swap that out, which I did. And I got a flat out 0. Okay.
Yeah, you got to ride with the Broncos all year.
I know. And I went against my better judgment. But, even with Josh Allen, even with Henderson, it was still JSN really did nothing for me. Rasheed Rice was not as much as he normally does.
Yeah.
He's been near
No
damn near
touchdowns.
20 points. Yeah. But I've had no running back all year besides Henderson. Brees Hall can't even get 10 points there. Rasheed Rice, not good. He got rocked. Let me tell you. During
Again.
that
He
game,
played this week. He got crushed on that crossing route. I was like,
yes.
God damn. I literally said that real time. I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like
And
a
I was like,
hospital ball.
my God.
Yeah.
And then I had Zay Flowers in as my flex. And I mean, I can't complain because he had Pitts and I had McBride. McBride had 30 plus points. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. So basically at this point, I'm fighting for third place. I'm fighting for my money back. So I
Yeah.
also play what's funny is the number 1 seed, he lost. And so that's who I'm now playing this week. And I'm like, we'll see what happens. But Guy, before we move on, any thoughts on the Seahawks Colts game?
Yeah, it was just closer than it should have been. I think the Seahawks are a way better team, but sometimes you have these games that require you to face a little adversity, which I don't think is a bad thing this time of year. They found a way to win, and kudos to them. But I will say that Sam Darnold in these key games is going to have to step up his play, and that could be the difference between them moving forward in the in the playoffs or not. It's really on his shoulders.
And I echo everything you have both said. And the only reason I'm not preying on anyone's downfall, but also the Jets have Indy's pick. So if they lose out, I'm not going to be complaining one bit. So I want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about all the games this week, but I want to talk about at least 2 of them. And then if you guys have one more, we can go ahead and get into it. But let's start with the Thursday night game. Gene's favorite team that he can't pick a winning team to save his life. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on that Falcons Buccaneers game because, oh my God. And then Todd Bowles going on that rant after. I mean, that's my job to do that, but he went on a whole tirade. So, Guy, I'm going to start with you and your thoughts on that game.
Well, yeah, it was a pretty entertaining game. Towards the end, Falcons came back. Kudos to them for playing spoiler. They could have, mailed it in and said, you know what, whatever, our season's done. And they didn't do that. They competed, and the Buccaneers. It's always this but with them, right? It's they have injuries, but then they also have times where like they play down to their competition. Baker's thrown some bad interceptions. It's tough, man, because Carolina didn't take advantage of this loss either. So like it's still up in the air, right? And I'll say this too, if whoever gets the 5 seed in the NFC, that's not a bad spot. You're going to be going to one of these NFC South teams that's right for the picking. And I think mentally and psychologically, the Buccaneers just lost whatever mojo they had earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm. And Mike Evans was pissed off after the
yeah.
game, too, arguably so. Sean, anything to add?
Like Mike Evans said, 3rd and 28.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like what?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that Baker pick was horrible as much as I think it was a great play by the defender. I thought Baker looked him off, and then I think he just reacted to it, which was great. Mike Evans was wide open, but that might have been the worst coached fourth quarter I've ever seen in my life. And I got a rant later about this game, and it ties into other games. That's my rant for the week, but I'll dive into that later. Um, the Bucks looked better. I will say they looked better, but losing to the Falcons, I've said every single week. I don't think the Falcons are a bad team. I think they got a great defense and they got a really good offense. No, Drake London hurts them, but they're not a bad team by any means. They just don't have a solid quarterback, and Kirk Cousins just looks like prime Cousins every time he plays the Bucks on a Thursday game. I don't know what it is. Last year he looked the same. He threw for like 500 yards against them. But I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but like Guy said, like the Panthers, chucked away opportunity too. And honestly, the Saints have looked decent with Tyler Shuck. Like he might be their quarterback of the future for a little bit. Like he's actually looked relatively good. He was decent in college. Like he wasn't a bad prospect. It's kind of why he went up the boards a little bit, but he's doing what he needs to do. And I know the Saints are out, but I mean that's promising for them to see. They probably don't want to be winning games, but whatever. But yeah, Carolina and Bucks got to play twice. So I mean the thing is I think that middle game, one of them, like one team has to play the Dolphins and the other team has to play like the Raiders. And it's not the Raiders, but it's a team equivalent. So, and the Panthers get the easier of the two. So basically the Bucks have to kind of beat the Panthers twice in my eyes. But we'll see. I don't know. I think the Bucks have just been really unlucky with injuries. I will say I know it was a painful loss, but they had a long week to recover, and the Panthers losing should be encouraging for them because they're still in the driver's seat in reality. They are the better team. I think we can all agree on that. They're the worst team since Gene went over there because he wants to hop teams and fuck everybody's teams because he said he's going to be a Seattle fan. I about drove up to his house and had words with him because you're not going to ruin my life, all right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to see. There's a lot of good playoff races to the end of the year, which we don't have. It feels like often anymore, so it's going to be really exciting.
Now let me ask you guys, Raheem Morris, do you think he's out of a head coaching job at the end of the season? And the only reason, let me tell you why I bring this up, because this is obviously Jets are out of, they have no defensive coordinator, and that's a name that kind of has been circling around.
The word on the street is no, they're going to give him another year, but that's just the word on the street. I don't think he should be personally, but we'll see. I think Todd Bowles should be out of a fucking job. Guy's horrible. Horrible.
You don't have to tell me about that.
Send him to the Jets.
I can't sit here and say like I've seen, like, because you were talking about Tampa's fourth quarter. I'm like, as a Jets fan, I've seen the Jets blow fourth quarter leads like terribly. So I can't even say it's the worst. But for a team of that caliber, yes, absolutely.
I watched the whole game with my fiance. The whole game. It got to the fourth quarter. The Bucks got the ball back. I said they're going to run the ball 3 times, give the Falcons the ball back, and lose the game. Instead, they ran the ball once, lost 4 yards, and then passed it twice and gave the Falcons the ball back with 2 minutes, which was even crazier to me. Sure as shit, they drive it right down the field and kick the field goal. I'm like, and I looked at it, I said, I told you. I just shrugged my shoulder. I said, I told you. I knew exactly what was going to happen here.
They were wearing the creamsicle jerseys, weren't they?
Yeah. I actually like those jerseys.
I do.
Yeah,
I do
nice.
too. I know. I like those too. All right. So the other game I wanted to talk about, an AFC East matchup, and holy shit, what a treat that was. That Bills Patriots game.
Mhm.
Bills obviously come out on top 35-31. Guy, I'm going to start with you first because you are a fan of an AFC East team. What did you think of that matchup? I believe last week, I think we both had the Patriots winning.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah. And I mean, I was thoroughly surprised, especially with the Bills being down, 21-0 at some point. So go ahead and
yeah.
share your thoughts.
I mean, I think the Patriots missed an opportunity here. You know, it's sometimes this thing happens during the course of the season, but to lose to, a rival at home up by 21, you know, I don't remember the last time they lost that kind of a lead. I thought it was like in the 70s or in the 60s that they last lost that kind of a lead at home. But I mean, you leave the door open a little bit, and stuff like this could happen, But it just shows that in the AFC, there's really no clear cut favorite. I know a lot of people were thinking that, the New England Patriots are like maybe they're the team to beat in the AFC, and I think this is proof that they're not. And it's kind of an even playing field out there. And for the Bills, psychologically, they know that they can go into New England if they have to and win a game late in the year, or in the playoffs if they happen to meet each other. I think that's great for the Bills. They needed this win for sure, just to have a chance at the AFC East crown, which is still up for grabs. You never know what happens, right? Uh, I just think it was good on the Bills for showing their grit and determination and resilience here. They're going to need it. Patriots, let's see how they bounce back next week.
Right. But honestly, at least the Patriots and the Bills have a matchup coming up that should be an easy win because they both play the Jets. I think the Bills are week 18, Patriots week 17. So that's a guaranteed win there. Sean, you're obviously a Josh Allen fantasy owner, so you probably love this game just like I did. Any other thoughts to add?
I'm a Josh Allen fan in real life too. He is him. He is, to me, he's the best player in the NFL. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He's the best player in the NFL. He does it with the least amount of weapons. I mean, his wide receiver one is a wide receiver three on other teams. Like, Keon Coleman doesn't know how to show up to practice. Like, he's doing it. I mean, and I will say he's got a top five running back in the league. I think James Cook is criminally underrated. He's second in the league in rush yards. Think he has 10 games of 100 rush yards this year. That dude is legit. I think I was kind of down on him like fantasy wise this year because I'm like, well, if his ceiling is like RB7 with the amount of touchdowns he scored last year, there's no way he can replicate that. And he really has. I mean, he's got 1,400 rush yards. I don't know the receiving yards off the top of my head, but he's looked incredible. Buffalo's defense is sneaky good. They took some injuries this week. They lost like three players, which kind of sucks. But Buffalo, I mean, I've been saying it. They're not a team you want to see in the playoffs. I don't think. I think Mahomes and Allen are getting to that same tier of like you don't want to play him when it matters because Josh Allen's just got that dog in him. I mean, he will win you a game by himself. And also on the flip side, like I said it a couple weeks ago, I think the Patriots are a great team. I just don't think I'm not scared if they have a bye and you have to play them in the first round or the second round at Foxborough just because they're so young. I mean, you saw it in this game. Drake May is an incredible talent. He's got the stats this year, but he's just a young quarterback. And the game was kind of closer than it should have been because Travion bust that 80-yard or 62-yard touchdown, whatever it is. They had no contain on the backside and he got through free. Like they had no linebacker waiting on the bounce out, nothing. I found that really odd. Like if you watch the playback, he shouldn't have been able to score that, frankly, but he did. He took it to the house. The kid's explosive. He looks great as well. But I just think the Patriots are probably like if they're good right now, I think in like 2 years I can see them being like a real true contender. there's too many rookies on that team, and they're just not. I don't think they're built for the here and now.
And I agree with you, Sean, that pointing out the youth there. You want to know what's funny? I actually had a bet on this game. It was like plus like 65,000. Okay, I just put $1 on it. All right. The only reason it didn't hit was because Josh Allen and Drake May didn't have 200 yards passing yards.
Yeah,
which I feel like they have every other game. I thought that was just a low ball number, but
it's just
I
the
was so
snow.
upset.
It's a
I
snow
know.
game.
I know. And honestly, I'm glad you pointed that out about Josh Allen too, because people have been following me for a while. They already know Josh Allen's my favorite player in the league. He's just such a likable guy. And I'm sorry, once he announced that he was having a baby with his wife, I was like, game's over. They're gonna win this one. So I brought up 2 games. I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about any of these last slate of week 15 games that you want to talk about before we do maybe take a look at some spreads for week 16. So Sean, I'll start with you. Any other game that you want to talk about? There's several, but
I'm not even gonna lie to you. My brain is so fried. I don't have my computer broke 5 minutes before the fucking show, so I'm already pissed about that. I don't have any screens or anything up. Yeah, unfortunately, like I don't have a shout for anybody. Um,
you're fine. You already shouted out your own team. That's good
yeah,
enough. Guy, any game you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, thank the Los Angeles Chargers for sticking the fork in the Chiefs this year. No Chiefs,
Literally.
no Taylor Swift, none of that bullshit. It's going to be somebody else. Thank you.
And literally, I think the entire NFL was like throwing a parade because it's just, I don't want to see Mahomes go out like that, though. That injury was devastating. But as a team, I'm like, we can finally, that dynasty has now come to an end. You know what I mean? And
but
so,
did you see Kelsey's tweet?
no, what do you say?
He was like, I know Patrick's gonna rehab well, and he'll come back healthy for the Chiefs next year. He didn't say for us. He said for the Chiefs. So maybe insinuating he's retiring. That was a little curious verbiage he used there. But you know what? I forgot that Denver played the Packers right this week. Am I? I've had a weird week. Not to be somber, but my grandpa passed away on Friday, so I've had a really interesting week. Um, so like my brain's a
Well,
little.
our condolences
Thank you.
for
Sorry for your
starters.
loss, bro.
Yeah. So I've just like I'm all out of it. But yeah, that Denver game was really good. That I mean, we kind of didn't talk. I mean, we talked about the injury in that game, but Denver won a game against a good team. They have a quality win now that you can't just be like, yeah, they're just like squeaking by. Yeah, they squeaked by to be fair, but like it's a good win. The Packers are a good team. I mean, they just beat the Bears last week, who were the number 1 team, or last week or the week before, whichever one it was, and they were 9-3-1, I think. So I'm curious to see. I want to see if that tie ends up screwing the Packers later on in the year. I have a weird feeling it is because Detroit's. Oh, Detroit got their asses whooped to the Rams too. That was pretty interesting as well. Which it like did a 180 really quick. Not to jump between games, but yeah, there was like a couple games where like they just did 180s out of nowhere.
Well, and the Cowboys lost to the Vikings.
Yeah.
Me and Guy were so sure that the Bengals were going to show up against the Ravens. Ravens blew him out.
If I was on the show last week, I would have said the same thing. I would have had Ravens on fraud watch, and then they came out and they were like, just kidding, we're the Ravens.
Zay Flowers finally want to have a touchdown for me, the first in like a couple of months, I want to say. And the one thing about the Denver game, I had Sutton on the bench because he just has been. I know, but in the last 2 weeks he's been good, but the whole rest of the season he's been ass. And I'm like, I can't start you confidently, you know what I mean? And I'm not even going to be mad at that because I would have just put him in where Zay Flowers was and as my flex, and I can't be mad that Zay had 17. So,
well, to put it in the context too, TJ. Remember I was telling you TJ lost like 191 to 181. He ended up going with his gut. He's a Giants fan. He started Jackson Dart over Bo Nix, and Bo Nix had 17 more points than Jackson Dart.
Ay, that is
But
tough.
Bo Nix has been fucking him for like 4 weeks, so it's like, what are you supposed to do? I don't blame him for benching him, but he has Sutton as well. So to me, I'm always starting to stack. I'm gonna die with it, but I don't blame him for starting Jackson Dart either. I just
Right.
that sucks. That's a shitty way to lose because you're like you said, you have Sutton on the bench because he's been bad, but like
Hmm.
he's a wide receiver one, so it feels really bad to bench him. So what do you do? There's a lose.
Right. Well, let's move on to some spreads for week 16. Oh, it's so crazy how the season just flew by. You know what I mean? And now we're like, more. So let's go ahead and start with tomorrow's game. Rams at the Seahawks.
Yeah, the spread's
Rams.
close too.
Mm-hmm. That 1.5 there. Sean.
I got my Seahawks. I got to ride or die with them. I think the Devontae Adams injury is going to be a bit bigger than people realize because he's like their goal. I mean, I will say they've been using Blake Corum more, who's actually looked really good the last couple weeks in tandem with Kieran. But like Devontae's like their goal line kind of guy. And our defense did a really good job holding them last time we played. And I think Devontae had 2 touchdown catches that game. So like you take that out of the equation, mathematically we win 19-7. So in theory we should win this game, right? But it's a short week. There's a lot of injuries. I think the Charles Cross injury is going to be really bad for us. I don't like that. He's on Jared Verse's side too, which isn't good. So if you want my honest opinion, I think the Rams win, but I can't ever say that, so I got to take Seattle.
Guy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty entertaining game, but I slightly lean towards the Rams here, only because I think they're going to run the ball more with Adams being hurt, and I'm looking at Colby Parkinson to have a breakout game. At least they're going to have
Another
to use their
fake
tight
touchdown
end.
or what? What are we thinking? That's the most egregious call I've ever seen, by the way. That
Yeah.
was so bad. Not to cut you off, but I just had to bring that up. I couldn't believe when I saw it. They confirmed that call. I was like, he's like 3 yards short.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But then I'm looking at Sam Darnold in this game. This is an opportunity for you to build your confidence, and maybe this goes into winning the NFC West, right? So like, in your home, so let's see if that plays a factor in this game too.
I mean, this is more than a confidence builder, too. Darnold has seen ghosts against the Rams the last 3 times he's played them. Literal ghosts. I don't know what it is. They must have something in their facilities or someone casted a curse on him because he looks.
The New York Jets did. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Somebody did because he looks day and night when he plays the Rams compared to like every other team in the league and the Colts apparently. But like 4 picks last time they played, and again we still only lost by 2. I want to point that out. If he can just have a competent game and not turn the ball over, I trust our defense enough to win this game. But and I'm thankful for what Darnold has done for us this year and how the team has come along. I don't think anybody had us at 11-3, right? Um, but it's hard to say I trust Darnold until I actually see him put it all together. That's why even as a fan, like I would slightly favor the Rams just because I need to see Darnold put it together. I would love this would be a massive win. It cannot be overstated how large of a win this would be, but we're really gonna have to be clicking on both sides of the ball this game.
Agreed. And then I'm going to go with the Rams on this one. Just ever so slightly, ever so slightly. You know what? Let's get into the next slate. I didn't realize there were Saturday games this week.
2 of
Yep,
them.
2 of them.
And I guess I don't like that simply because we got some college football playoff games this week too. So Saturday, first game, Eagles at the Commanders, and obviously Jaden Daniels is shut down for the year. I think all of us can agree with that. So Commanders, Philly, 6.5.
Is it not funny that this spread is only 6.5 to anybody else? Like they crank these spreads out for these other games. They're like, you know what? The Commanders are actually going to keep it close with the Eagles. I mean, I'm hoping that. I mean, I know you got Jalen, but like I'm hoping he has a shitty game this game because I'm playing him this week. And I just think it would be so comical if the Commanders came out and beat the Eagles. Oh, that would be so awesome. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I think that the Philly's going to get it done. And I think Philly's going to actually probably pound the ball on the ground all game. I don't know why. I think they're probably going to have over 200 rush yards this game. So I got Philly. I got this. I'll probably take the touchdown spread too. And honestly, yeah, the over's going to hit. I mean, minus last week, the Commanders do put up like some points. They do
Mm-hmm.
like get the ball down the field.
Guy?
Yeah, I mean, historically, I know the Commanders have played the Eagles hard over the last couple of years, but I think the Eagles trying to get their flow and rhythm back right before the playoffs. I think the Commanders are going to run into a buzzsaw here. And I think that, to Sean's point, the Eagles are going to try to reestablish Saquon Barkley in the running game. So it's going to be a hard trek for Washington.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go Philly, and I'll take that 6.5 point spread there too. All right, second game on Saturday: Packers at the Bears. This is gonna be a fun one. Green Bay by 1.5.
Yeah. I just think this line is a little disrespectful. Just have no Micah, and the Bears have looked good this year, right? Like I don't remember the exact score of the last game that they played, but it was kind of a blowout, wasn't it? I don't remember the exact score, but I don't know. It's in Chicago too. I think the Bears take this, and they kind of have to take this to still win the division. I think, and I don't know how healthy the Packers actually are. Like Josh Jacobs has that injury. They're saying he's probably going to play, but like I just send someone at his legs in the first drive and see what happens, like not to be a dirty player, but like, you know, that he's not healthy at all. He hasn't been healthy in weeks. He looked great last week. He had that crazy touchdown catch. He looked good on the ground, but like you can only get so injured as a running back until you're kind of useless. And their backup, I mean, Wilson's not bad. So like kind of just ride with him. I know this is a really important game, but if you're gonna have a chance in the playoffs, you can't just have your superstar running back getting hurt. And the Christian Watson injury, I know they got a ton of guys with Dobbs and Reed and Musgrove is their tight end. I think like they've all had their flashes, but I think the Bears probably win by 3 this game.
All right, Guy?
Yeah, I think the Bears win this game too. 2 weeks ago, I think when they played, I think the Bears lost by a touchdown, and they were driving to try to score like the tying
Oh yeah, that's what it
touchdown,
was.
and he threw the
The
pick.
pick, right? Yeah.
Without Micah Parsons disrupting, I think the Bears take full advantage of that, and they find a way to win this game. Like Sean said, Packers are kind of banged up, and they're going to play in Chicago, so I think Chicago gets their revenge this week.
All right, and we're all on board with the Bears there. So those are the Saturday games. So let's move on to the first slate on Sunday. We don't have to talk too much about this, but Bills at the Browns. Spread is 10.
Bills.
Yeah, I got the Bills.
All right, now we're moving into the Chargers at the Cowboys. Dallas 1.5.
This is going to be a curious game because if Philly somehow loses to the Commanders, Dallas technically still isn't out. And I know Dallas came out today and said, yeah, we're going to start Dak the rest of the year. But if Philly somehow loses out and Dallas wins out, they make the playoffs, which is kind of interesting to say the least. But I feel like the Chargers have looked really good the last few weeks, minus all of the injuries and stuff they've been dealing with. I don't really see how the Chargers lose this game, especially if Javonte Williams doesn't play. I don't know if he's confirmed playing or not. He's got the neck injury. I think I'm going to take the Chargers here.
Guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chargers as well. Um, that I just don't trust the Cowboys defense. And like you said, Chargers have looked pretty good the last few weeks. I think they're starting to come into their own with their identity, and they're starting to play hard box style of football.
I'm going to take the Chargers as well, but I do want to shout out Quinnen Williams on that interception last week. Very happy for him. All righty. Chiefs at the Titans. KC by 3.5.
Normally, I would say Kansas City, but I got no clue. Garner Minshew out there for the Chiefs, and Travis Kelce, who clearly doesn't want to play football anymore, and Rashee Rice might not even play.
Right. He's in he might go. Is he in concussion protocol?
Yeah. And honestly, the Titans don't want to win this game, but it'd be a funny win. You know what I mean? Yeah, we beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win simply for the fact that the Titans aren't going to try to win this game at this point in the year. I think they're going to look like it's competitive, and then I don't think they're going to win. But I'm going to put it on record. I would not feel uncomfortable taking the Titans money line at all, or the spread. I could see them covering both very easily.
Glad that Shaq pointed that out with the pick there. Guy.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Titans in this one. I think the Chiefs are in shambles right now. This is, the Titans aren't going to just tank. I think they got their quarterback, at least for this year. So they might do this as a moral victory and something to build on for next year. But yeah, this game has a lot of question marks, and it might come down to the end.
All right, and I'm with the Titans there as well. So another interesting matchup: the 4-10 Bengals at the 6-8 Dolphins.
Well, Guy, you go ahead. This is your team.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me of the Chiefs and Titans game. What are the motivations of both these teams? Ewers is going to get his first start. So it might be difficult, but that just means they're going to have to lean on the running game. And, the Bengals defense is just garbage, right? So I actually think the Dolphins win in a field goal battle, and they squeak it out at the end.
Sean?
I have an interesting take on this game. And I'm not saying go pick up Quinn Ewers for your fantasy team, but this is the perfect game for him to start. That Bengals defense is atrocious. I can easily see him throwing for 300 plus yards. Now, that's not saying, again, don't go pick out Quinn Ewers and start him in your fantasy football playoffs, but this is the perfect game to introduce him to the offense. And see what he can do. I think it's going to be a lot of Achane checkdowns. I don't know if is Waller playing this week?
I think he is.
Okay, so I saw something about him possibly being hurt, but they got Waller involved last week a bit. I can see him utilizing him, and Waddle's still Waddle, right? But I'm also very curious. Joe Burrow has said some interesting stuff this week. One about not enjoying football per se. Two, he made a comment today about not seeing himself wanting to play for the Bengals anymore, playing for them next year, whatever it is. Now, Burrow becomes available for trade. That would be very, very interesting for, say, the Jets, who have a lot of picks, right? Yes, Burrow has the health issues, but Burrow is still a very, very good quarterback. To me, would you rather have Mendoza or would you rather have Joe Burrow? I think the answer is pretty obvious. Mendoza could be anybody in the NFL, even Joe Burrow if he wanted to be, right? That's not it's not a very common occurrence where a quarterback like that becomes available. So I'm curious to see how this game goes because I think this game is going to be a shootout. I would smash the over here. But there's some implications after this game. If the Bengals take like a bad loss, it'd be really curious to see Joe Burrow's mental after this game.
I want to talk about Joe Burrow and that whole discussion with the Jets. And Shaq pointed out something too. So I don't think it's going to happen, but should it happen, yes, I would gladly throw 2 first-round picks and a second pick in there. I'd rather do that for Joe Burrow than Mendoza, obviously, because Joe Burrow's a proven quarterback in the league. Again, injuries are a little bit of an issue, but the thing is, him saying he's unhappy, I don't know if bringing him to New York is going to change that culture for him whatsoever. Mind you, he would be working behind a better O-line, and with the draft, we're going to address the needs of the offense. But the Jets defense has so many holes. I mean, you need every single position, and I made a whole video about this. You need linebacker, you need a corner, you need another safety, you need another edge rusher, because it's not cutting it right now. And so he would just kind of honestly be in the same maybe position he's been in with the Bengals. So I don't think he'd be interested in coming here. And why I point out Shaq's comment is I think they'd want him out of the AFC in general. They're
Well,
like, we don't want to see you at
I
all.
got an interesting little like talking point, right? So let's just go out on a limb, right? Let's say the Rams win the Super Bowl this year. Okay? Let's say Matthew Stafford decides to retire. The Rams have the assets and the picks to trade for a Joe Burrow. They have the Falcons pick, they have their pick, and they have future picks. That could be something that we're maybe talking about in the offseason if somehow the Rams win and Stafford wants to retire. Now, could you imagine Joe Burrow on the Rams?
Mm-hmm.
That would piss me off. But I mean, they have they can go out and do that. They have the assets to make that kind of trade. Now, do they have the cap space? I'm not entirely sure. I don't have all the numbers in front of me. But that's an interesting theory because I know that they've been talking about the Rams possibly using their first round picks this year to trade up and grab a quarterback, aka trade up to one. I've seen that thrown around. There's some things I've seen thrown around. Now I know the Falcons winning this week kind of messed with their pick a little bit, but that's a I don't know what y'all's opinion is on that, but I think that's something that's worth looking at.
That would be great for the Rams, I can tell you that much. Guy?
Yeah, I mean, over the last few years, the Rams have been one of the best ran organizations. It's going to be night and day from being a Bengal to being a Ram, right? Like the Bengals haven't really done much in supporting Joe Burrow except pay for wide receivers, right? Yeah, and the Bengals just have this culture of just like not getting it done. I think with McVay's going to take care of him, and playing indoors most of the year is going to help him out too. I think that's a win-win. He's going to be in a tougher division. He might regain his love for the game out there in Los Angeles.
I could even see him fitting well in Arizona, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too.
There's a couple teams in the NFC. There's not, I'm going to be honest, like really thinking about it, there's not a ton of teams in the NFC I could see him going to where it's an upgraded situation that don't already have their quarterback. But like unfortunately, two of those teams where like that is a reality are both in the division that my team plays in, and I wouldn't want to see it. But those are both very viable options.
Agreed. All right. Let's finish off these games real quick. This first morning slate on Sunday. We got the Vikings at the Giants.
With the way Minnesota's been looking, I got Minnesota. They've looked. I don't know what happened with McCarthy, but he actually looks serviceable somehow again. I don't know what guys like Bryce Young, writing him off, and then we're writing him on, and we're writing him off, and it's like, dude, figure it out. And freaking, he has the lowest QBR in the NFL targeting Jefferson. When he's not targeting him, he has like a 90 QBR. I mean, Naylor and Oliver have been like their wide receiver 1 and 2 the last couple of weeks. Addison's got involved. He's had that big catch that actually should have been a touchdown that McCarthy underthrew. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what McCarthy we get, but the Giants are just plastered with injuries. Obviously, I just think the Vikings have a better defense as well as their offense seems to be clicking. So I like the Minnesota line here.
Guy?
Yeah, I'm going with Minnesota. I think the Giants are just mailing it in for the rest of the season.
I'm right there with you, Guy. All right. And then, oh, man, what a matchup. The Buccaneers at the Panthers.
Woo!
All 7-7. Tampa by 3. This is going to be a fun one.
I got Tampa straight up. I've never seen a team more mad about a victory or about a loss. And you got Mike Evans, who looked phenomenal last week. He had like 14 targets. He had 130 yards on like 6 or 7 catches. He's going to have extra rest days. And you have everybody back now. Baker's looked shaky ish. I'd like to see him slow down on like the flashy plays and trying to like spin out of the pocket and stuff. It's getting a little old. I don't feel like he's in the shape to do that at this point in the year. Like he's too injured. But that loss by the Panthers has to be so demoralizing simply because you controlled your own destiny if you won that game. And everybody knew it, right? They knew it. The Saints knew it. Everybody knew it. The Saints got nothing to play for, and they played their hearts out to beat them. And all that did was reopen this division back up because, frankly, I think the Panthers only had to win 2 out of their next 4. Now they think they have to win 2 out of their next 3, and they have to beat the Bucks. I would think both of those games, frankly. So it's going to be very very interesting. But I think the Bucks are going to come out here angry and healthier than they've been in a while, and Mike Evans might go for 200 plus this game.
Guy?
You know that to me, this game could go either way, and I think every time we think the Panthers won't win, they find a way to win these tough games. That's why I'm going with Carolina. The Saints also beat the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago. So like I think that they're just a spoiler and a team that, they're just gonna give you their best shot. I kind of trust the running game from the Panthers a little bit more. And I think they just have a little more in the confidence area. If the game gets, close in the fourth quarter, I want to see how the Buccaneers execute. The last couple of weeks, they haven't really been executing as they should have. And that's just the details, right? The fine things, the margins. And I think the Panthers have to win this game because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they play Seattle, right? The week after.
I don't think so.
Is it?
I thought the
Yeah, I
Panthers had a
can.
really easy game in
No,
between
no,
the
they play
Bucks.
the Seahawks.
Did they actually play Seattle?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know that we had them on the schedule. That's hilarious. Oh, so so the Bucks, do the Bucks play the Dolphins then?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the Bucks that have the easier of the two. I think that's why it was important for the Panthers to win that Saints game. Maybe that I think I had them mixed up. I thought that the Panthers had a cupcake. So yeah, that actually makes more sense then. So this is like a must win almost for the Panthers, frankly.
Yeah. And that's why I think they're coming into this game like, look, we're gonna have a tough time with Seattle. At least here we have an opportunity. And we're gonna be at home here. So that's why I'm just slightly favoring the Panthers.
Also, if
And
they
I'm,
even win this game, not to cut you off, I'm
no,
sorry,
that's
but
fine.
if they lose to Seattle and the Bucks still following up, and the Bucks win next week at the Dolphins, the Bucks still win the division. So
Yep.
you have to win this game if you're the Panthers almost.
I'm going with the Panthers, period. All right. And then the last slate of morning games, probably the best one. You got the Jets at the Saints. Prime time television right here.
I got the
Saints.
Saints.
Yeah, Saints. You can put that probably by a touchdown, bro.
Yeah, honestly, the Saints have looked pretty good over the last few weeks too. So yeah, Saints.
And I guess I want to get my rant out the way because it's kind of I feel like it just like I didn't really have one prepared, but it just kind of like came to me. So, you know, I have made it very known that like I'm not on the tank train like whatsoever. And someone actually called me out the other day. They're like, "Is it still F them picks like what you were saying?" First of all, I said F them picks in terms of where we land with the first pick in the first round. Okay. I didn't say F the second round pick, F the third round, none of that. Okay. So let me stand corrected there. Also, I just want to clarify I'm still not on the tank train, but am I going to be so overly devastated if the New York Jets lose out and get a top pick? No. Okay. So that's where I stand there. I'm still not on the tank train. I want this team to lose competitively. I don't think that's a hard ask. Lose competitively. I don't want to keep getting blown out. And what's going to piss me off about this game is I don't care if they lose, but I'm not going to get blown out by a team who is on our level. Okay. Some of these other teams, Jacksonville is not on our level. Okay. I don't mind losing to some of those teams because we're not even in the same weight class. Okay. But the Saints are a team that is in our weight class, and I expect them to win. And this is not a game that even prior to the season starting that I saw us losing. So us winning this game is really not going to make a difference to me. So I just want to clarify that I'm still not on the tank train, but I'm not going to be devastated if the New York Jets lose out, which they probably will. You have no defensive coordinator at this point. You have someone stepping in. This defense is hurt. Everyone's out. We already knew the defense was going to be atrocious once Sauce and Quinnen left. So just look at, we have an undrafted free agent starting at quarterback. So I just and Brady Cook, let me tell you, he doesn't look that bad. I'm going to give him a little bit of credit. What he looks okay for an undrafted free agent in the position that the New York Jets are in. Okay, I don't know why people had these high expectations for him. Fans were calling for him all season long, just to be disappointed. Like, what did you expect? They wanted him in, but you also didn't lower your expectations for him, and that's what makes me mad. And I'll tell you right now, even with the Jacksonville game last week. Had the New York Jets defense gotten a stop and the Jets have scored, they would have been right back in the game. And it's in the second half that things just.
Jets offense is low key kind of good.
They look
like
okay.
Players wise,
yes.
They're not bad, and like your offensive line is really good. You don't have Garrett Wilson obviously, but he's a top 15 receiver in the league. Mitchell's looked good. Mechie's the other receiver you have, and then you have the two tight ends. And then
let me shout out.
Like he's just not being utilized because the team's so down in the gutter. Like I don't think that offense is horrendous by any means. I just don't think the offense is like top 10 in the NFL either, you know?
Right. And I want to shout out Jeremy Rucker getting an extension, a 2-year, $10 million extension. He's a Long Island kid, grew up a Jets fan, playing for the Jets now. So I want to congratulate him. And a lot of people thought he didn't even deserve that money either, but it's like he's been great blocking in the run game, at least. You know what I mean? As far as receiving game, I would have expected a little more, but we also were throwing it to Mason Taylor as well, trying to see what we have in the rookie. A lot of people blaming this offensive line, and I'm just like, it's not. The offensive line is also still very young. They're still trying to gel together, and they've gelled together with 3 effing quarterbacks this year. Okay? There's no one has a grip on anything. And what made me, let's go back to Steve Wilks for a second, because I've been going ham on this Jets defense. Go back to Steve Wilks for a second. When you have a player, I don't even know his name, Kalen Saunders, I think that was his name, was ejected from the game last week for, I don't think he knew it was a ref, but he hit a ref. Your defense is out of control. Control your players, okay? You had no grip on this defense whatsoever. So that was, for me, the final straw. I'm like, you're definitely out of here. And I wasn't surprised he was out of there the next day. But just a lot of the people are just, Jets fans drive me nuts because they just pass blame off to everybody. People even being hard on Breece Hall. And I'm like, dude, no one knows what they're doing on this team, okay? This is dysfunction. It's not a Breece Hall problem. Stop it. Look at who his quarterback is. So that's all I'm going to say there. Glad I got that off my chest.
Do you feel better?
Yes, I do. I thought I was over it. because I don't know why I was even that mad on Sunday. I think it was because it was that horrendous. You know what I mean? I've just never seen a defense look this bad. I mean, you're having play action on first down and they're getting well beyond 10 plus yards each time. I couldn't believe it. I actually watched the whole game. I didn't turn it off, but I don't blame Jets fans who didn't turn it off. You
I
were better
watched
off
it
doing
too,
whatever.
and I thought it was hilarious how they were running the score up on you. I was
No,
like,
yes.
bro, pull the starters. You had ETN playing with like 6 minutes left in the fourth. I'm like, bro, you're up like 30 points. Pull your starters. This is
That's why I was
comedy.
so shocked. Literally, how many more yards you want him to have?
I'm like,
You know what I mean?
I'm like, they own themselves in the fantasy playoffs at this point. Like, there's no way.
It's just, I think, and I get the frustration with a lot of Jets fans. I get we've had plenty of disappointing seasons. I mean, you can look back at even last year with Aaron Rodgers. That first year with Aaron Rodgers was devastating, of course, with the Achilles injury. But this year has been some of the worst football I have ever seen in my whole entire life. This was even bad with like that. I mean, there was that 2-14 season we had back in like 2020, 2021, something like that. I felt like the team looked a little more competitive. But I don't know why I'm so shocked. I mean, damn, I look crazy. I said last year the Jets would be 11-6. I look even crazier saying the Jets would be 7-10. And it's just it's nuts. And again, I'm frustrated. There's just I told you guys these last 3 weeks, what am I gonna have to talk about? Not like I'm going to talk more about the Saints, you know what I mean, from this week's game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yes, I do feel better, but I'll take that 4.5 point spread on that. I don't know if you guys even shared your opinion.
I think we did.
I'm so lost in the sauce.
It's okay.
All right, let's move on to the second slate. What do we got? Jags at the Broncos. Denver by 3, and I'll get mine out the way. I'm taking Denver.
Nope. I think the Jaguars come back down to earth this game. That Denver defense is for real. We all know they're for real. That offense is suspect, but I think the Jaguars are going to come back to earth. Trevor Lawrence is going to come back to earth. He's not putting up 60 fantasy points this week. I'll tell you that for damn sure. No Bishal Tootin either, I don't think, for the Jags, and he kind of opens up their pass game a little bit when he's on the field. You know, you got to respect him. But, yeah, I think the Jaguars are going to get not beat down, but I think they lose by like 10. And I know that's like a crazy thing to say, but I just think that Denver, they keep getting away with it. And at some point, you just got to respect that they got the grit and that they're just winners. And I know next year they're not going to have the same record because they're not going to win a lot of these games they're winning this year, but they're doing it right now. And I think they're going to continue doing it throughout the rest of the season. Now, will they do it against the elite of the elite in the playoffs? We'll see. And that's TBD. But I mean, they're winning week in and week out at this point.
Guy?
Yeah, I actually think this game's going to be close, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars pull the upset here. But yeah, I can't go against the Broncos until they give me a reason to. You know, like you said, Sean, they're showing their grit. You know, we might not be overly impressed with the methods, but the results are there. And at the end of the day, they're 12-2, right? So as it looks right now, the AFC has to go through Denver, which is right where they want to be. And if they win and take care of business here, they're going to be well on their way to setting themselves up for a run in the playoffs.
Also, if they win here, keep in mind, I think that makes the Jaguars 10-5, right?
Yep.
Or no, is it 10-5? Yeah, which also means that if the Texans win this week, they're also 10-5.
Ooh.
And I think the Texans and the Jaguars play next week, if I'm not mistaken. So now that would be spicy.
We got a lot of interesting football coming down literally to the wire. And a not so much interesting game. You have the Falcons at the Cardinals.
I think
Atlanta
this
by
is still
2.5.
an interesting game. I think even though both of these teams are out, I will say both of their offenses have been like mega high powered for no reason at all. I mean, like Brissett's been like QB4 in fantasy over like the last like 8 weeks or something. Like it's actually impressive. McBride's McBride. Michael Wilson, waiver wire pickup of the year. I don't think that Marv is playing this week. I can see this being like a pretty high scoring game, like just a shootout for fun. Do I hope it is? Absolutely not. I'm playing Kyle Pitts this week. Please break a leg, you know. But yeah, this I think as far as like the we always call like the shitty games, right? Like this is still like they're playing for nothing, but this could be a really fun game. I feel like I do think that the Cardinals win. Um, but both of these teams have talent, so it'll be a cool game to watch. I think this isn't a game like if it comes on, you could probably watch it and be entertained.
Well, I usually watch Cardinals games
Oh
anyway,
yeah, you
so
do.
and I'll
You
take
do,
the
yeah.
Cardinals here. Guy, real quick. Cardinals, Falcons.
I'm going with the Falcons. I just think they have a better overall team, slightly, and I think Bijan Robinson is just a difference maker.
And Drake London might be back this week, so that'll be a big deal.
It's trending
Yep.
upwards.
Yeah, he's practiced today at least. So
All right. The 8-6 Steelers at the 8-6 Lions. Detroit by 7.
I got Detroit. I mean,
Same.
you got to take Detroit, frankly. Gibbs had like 8 fantasy points last week, so we all know that means he's gonna have like 40 this week. Thank God he's not in the playoffs. I got JMO. I've been mega impressed with how they're utilizing him. They're actually utilizing him and getting him the ball in space. And I'm playing Amon-Ra this week, so I'm just hoping JMO and Amon-Ra null each other out somehow. But I know the Steelers are playing for a lot, right? Like they're in control of that division, but like the Lions have to win this game. Otherwise, I think they're eliminated, right? So you got to believe that in Detroit, the Lions don't put up a stinker.
Guy, you
Yeah.
on the same?
Yeah, I think the Lions come out here and they win. I'm not gonna say a blowout, but they win convincingly here.
No TJ Watt either, right? So that's
Yeah.
another big deal. Yeah.
And I'm going with Lions. All right. Raiders at the Texans.
I'll be
It's a
right
big
back.
spread. That's fine. That's a big spread at 14.5. Wee.
Yeah, I'm taking that.
Yeah, me too.
The Raiders might get shut out again. There's like
Well, they're trying to at this point. I think they're really going for that high draft pick.
yeah, and you know what? They need it. If a team needs Mendoza, it's the Raiders, right? Like, and I think that's probably where they're going to be going, right? I don't know. It seems like the Raiders kind of quit on their season. Like, they have some talent on on their offense, but it's ugly. I'll tell you that. And you're going up against a Texans team that needs to win with that defense. Like I said, the Raiders could be shut out for the second week in a row.
Sean, really quickly before we move on to the next game.
Nico owners, rise up. This is our week. This is our week, baby.
All right. We got the Patriots at the Ravens. We have to see if we have that spread pop up. The spread on mine is currently Baltimore by 3.
Which is crazy.
That's what I think.
I think the Patriots win this game outright. Now, I do think it would be hilarious because we're talking about all these playoff races, right? Just for the playoff race, if the Patriots lost, I think them and Buffalo would be tied this week afterwards. So you'd have like 4 teams that are all tied for their division, and I think it's really cool that they backloaded these divisional games now. Now they all have something to play for. But I know they lost to Buffalo last week. Buffalo is a much better team than the Ravens are. Let's just be frank. And I guess technically, if the Lions beat the Steelers and the Ravens beat the Patriots, they also would be tied for the division. So that would cause multiple ties. You could possibly have Jacksonville tying with the Texans, Pittsburgh tying with the Ravens, and Buffalo tied with the Patriots. that'd be pretty cool. But I think that's just really disrespectful to the Patriots, quite frankly.
I do too. And by the way, I forgot to mention this is a Sunday night football game.
Mhm.
Guy?
Yeah, I mean, conventional wisdom tells me that the Patriots should win this game, but I think the Ravens are going to be desperate. I think they actually upset the Patriots this week.
Interesting. All right. And then the final game of the week, Monday night football. You got the 49ers at the Colts. San Francisco by 6 points. And Philip Rivers will get the start again in week 16.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, the Niners win this game. I think it's going to be off the heels of like a massive McCaffrey game too. I just don't see the Colts having the ability to stop him. Um, I the Niners looked good last week too. Like they were really moving the ball, and I just feel like the Colts stopped Seattle from scoring the ball a lot last week, but like we were still moving the ball on them regardless. And as it stands currently, I think that the Niners offense is significantly better. Um, you have so many weapons with Kittle, Jennings, Pearsall is out most likely. I saw there was some crazy injury with him again. And McCaffrey, I just don't see them being able to bottle this up. And I think this is actually like goes over 47, and I think San Fran might win by like 14 points.
Guy?
Yeah, I think the Niners win convincingly. I think they've been under the radar, and they're really a team you got to watch out for. And even if they fall into that fifth seed, if they happen to have that, that's still a dangerous. And I don't think teams in the NFC want to play this team, given their upside with that offense. If they're fully healthy, you're gonna have to score with them. And they're a gritty team, man. That kind of mentality travels well. But yeah, I think Rivers comes back down to earth. The field goals from the Seattle. I don't think San Francisco is going to settle for field goals here.
And I'm taking the Niners as well. So let's kind of wrap up the football discussion a little and transition over to college football just really quickly. So obviously, Heisman Award went to no other than Fernando Mendoza. Sean, do you agree with
Expected.
it?
Yeah, expected. Quite frankly, best player on the best team in the country. Um, I didn't understand how Julian Sand even made it to the Heisman awards. Quite frankly, I think Jeremiah Love is a uber talented running back. You know, let's just be real though. Running backs usually don't win that award unless they have some crazy year. Um, and then I don't know who was the other person that made it. It was another quarterback, and I can't think of him off the top of my head.
Yeah, that little shithead in Diego Pavia.
Oh yeah, Daniel
Pavia.
Pye. Yeah, who thought he should have won it? Um, Guy, you're not even getting drafted, buddy. So I just think it went to the obvious player this year, and I think, like I've been saying, I just don't think there's any standout offensive players, right? So you just got to give it to like the best player of the bunch. I think this year's loaded on defense. I do think that like if Jordan Tyson was healthy or a player like that, Arizona kid, so you kind of know about him, right? He's mega talented. He just can't stay healthy. He's probably going to go in the top 10 or top 15 in the NFL draft just off of upside alone. But maybe though, like an offensive player like that could have snuck it, but I don't see any other way around how you gave it.
Guy, you're on board with Mendoza being the best option.
Yeah, I mean it's the most logical choice. Like Sean said, best player on the best team. Uh, and he's a good kid. I'm just happy that he was able to, have this trophy for his mantle. And you know, he's gonna be most likely the first quarterback taken in the draft. And, he just solidified that, I think, with this Heisman trophy.
Go off on another rant, but a couple of things. So Fernando Mendoza has really grown on me just personally, like just his spirit. And I'm sorry, Guy. You probably felt some type of way when you saw his speech and him talking to his grandparents in Spanish. Oh my God, I loved every single bit of that. He's Cuban, and just the way he carries himself. And then you have Pavia, however you say it, go into the club, F them votes, F Indiana. And what makes me agitated with him is like, Sean, you already put, you're not even getting drafted, but you obviously, his stats were better. I do understand that. But also it's a character thing too, and you have sucked all season as far as your character. And even his family has gotten involved. We've had incidents with his family starting shit with fans as well. And honestly, having obviously Fernando Mendoza bringing the first Heisman to Indiana winning their championship, which they haven't done in, if at all, or it's been years. I don't know which one it is. One of you can put it in the chat if you really want to
80
correct
years
me.
or something.
Thank you, something like that. But you know, character has a lot to do with it, and you know what, kid hurt his draft stock, and it's hard because you had a similar situation this year with Shadur, obviously, and maybe the type of baggage that these two quarterbacks bring. The difference is Shador, I felt like only brought baggage simply because of who his family was. And you know, his dad's in the spotlight. You already know that's coming with you. I don't think personally, and Guy, you and I have mentioned it. Sean, I don't know if you've mentioned it before, but he's the Shador and his whole family, people of God. They're very humble at the end of the day. God is great, all of that. It's not a character thing. I didn't think. So I don't know. That Pavia just he irritates me. And I know he issued his whole apology. Great that you did that for social media purposes, but I don't believe a single word that you're saying. And he's one of the most unlikable people ever. So unlikable. Anything to add?
I will say, just to play sort of devil's advocate, what
We
he
don't do that on my
specifically
show.
what he specifically has done at Vandy is honestly impressive. Just from a player profile point of view, he runs hard and he wins. I mean, you can't go about it any other way. Vandy was not a winning program before he got there. He's elevated that program the last 2 years. They're what, 10-2 this year, or 9-3, whatever they were. And I think it was the same thing last year. I mean, I'm not saying he's a great person. I don't think he's some mega uber talented kid. And I think he's old too. I think he's like 25 or something like that. But he has won, so I will give him that much. And I don't think his name gets brought up enough, considering he plays in the SEC as well. Like, he doesn't play in a weak conference, right? Like, he's playing against top talented teams every single year. But I think that it's just more of like a chip on his shoulder. He more than anything, and I think the difference between him and Shador is Shador was a top 3 pick out of nowhere because of his dad at a program that he didn't even really win in Colorado. I think they went 6-6 or 7-5, whatever it was the year that he came out. So like they like started out hot and then they ended off really cold. At least Pavia wins. I mean, I'll give him that. You know.
Well, I already said that before, though. I said his stats were already better. I didn't say he didn't deserve to even be in the conversation. So, like, I just want to clarify that.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that you said that. I'm just saying like I'll give him his flowers as far as a winner, you know, but he's still a moron. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still a jackass. But I think he's got to be a diva. I think it's like a social media thing, right? Like, you got to be a diva almost to have people pay attention to you. That's kind of just how it goes.
There's just like a balance to it all.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think and for someone, again, he is a little older. I just probably expected a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So real quick, I know we didn't discuss this before, but we have obviously the first round of the college football playoff this week. So I just want you to simply say, who do you think is going to win this game? Okay. You got number 9, Alabama, and number 8, Oklahoma. And the spread is Oklahoma 1.5. Guy.
We'll go with Oklahoma in this one.
Sean?
Oklahoma.
Same here. All right, Guy, I probably already know your answer to this one. You got Miami at Texas A&M by 3.5.
The U.
I already knew. Sean?
I got A&M.
I have A&M as well. All right. Tulane, Mississippi. Oh, Mississippi by 17 and a half.
I got
Oh,
Tulane.
Ole Miss.
You have Tulane?
I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have Mississippi by like 65.
Same. All right. You got JMU at Oregon. Oregon by 20 and a half.
Yeah. Oregon by 50.
Oregon.
I'm sorry. I have JMU upsetting Oregon. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't know. I don't trust Oregon. I don't like the division that they play in anymore. Or the conference, sorry. I don't like the conference that they play in anymore.
They played against Indiana. They played Indiana, Ohio State. They got all those teams in their conference. What? They have the hardest conference in college football now.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Oregon just doesn't really, they don't do anything that really impresses me, to be honest.
Their only loss is by 3 to Indiana.
And you're not giving JMU credit because, I said, was it with you that I said on the show last week? I've grown up, I lived in that Harrisonburg area. JMU has been very good for a very long time.
Who did they play this year? Can you remind me?
I'm not saying they come from a good conference, but we talked about this in terms of the college football playoff. And maybe, Sean, you want to chime in here because this was a discussion we had last week. Obviously, teams choosing not to play in a bowl game. I mean, there's a list of teams. It's like 10 teams. They couldn't even get
5-win teams to pick games up. I think it's embarrassing, honestly. I think I wasn't on the show last week, right? I think it is absurd that Notre Dame didn't get in, and I think it's absurd that Alabama got in and BYU didn't get in at 11-1, and 11-2, and their 2 losses are to the 3rd seed or whatever they are, 2nd or 3rd seed. I think they're 2nd. Yeah, they got the breaks beat off them in the bowl game, but their 2 losses are to the same exact team. Bama has 3 losses, and 2 of them are horrible. I was not. The logic they use is not consistent, and I'm just. I don't think teams should not play in bowl games. I think Notre Dame. I can see why they're frustrated, and I can also see the other side of the argument. Oh, they need to join a conference. They've never were in a conference, right? It's not that they left the conference and now that's how they play. This is how it's always been. And they didn't have an easy. Their 2 losses were in August. They're a better team than Miami is right now. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you're a Miami fan, and Guy, I know you are. But I think if we're being realistic, Notre Dame is a better team than Miami currently. And I think that that JMU and Tulane getting in off pity is horseshit, in my opinion. It should just be the 12 best teams, not because you want to make other teams feel included. If they don't play tough schedules, that's their fault. It's not anyone's problem, just like it's not Notre Dame's problem that they don't play in a Power 5 conference. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, and I agreed with you. I thought the 12 best teams should get in because college football is a little bit different than, the men's college basketball tournament where, there you want Cinderella stories.
They let 64 teams in and people are still pissed off. It's inevitable no matter how many teams you let in, but we shouldn't let even if you, Abby, think JMU is a good team, right? There is no way that you realistically believe JMU is better than BYU and Notre Dame, right? Nor do any of us, I think Tulane is better than either of those teams. So it's crazy that they both got in, and I get why they got in. I'm not misunderstanding why they did, but I think it doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, that we're just cherry picking teams that we want to let in at this point instead of letting the 12 best teams duke it out.
I also just think, though, there does need to be like a pathway for some of these teams to be able to have a college football playoff, because that was the whole point of making it this playoff to begin with and making it 12 teams. And then I don't know.
How about this? Let BYU and Notre Dame play Tulane and James Madison to get in.
Well, and this is what we did. This is what I discussed with my coworker now that I've had time. We were like, all right, let's expand it to 16 teams. And then you let those other teams, like how you mentioned, play in order to get in the playoff. That's what I agree. It should be something like that.
Yeah, but what's going to happen is they're going to let 4 non-power conference teams in at that point. and then only 12 teams are actually going to make it in, and people are still going to be pissed off. And to me, Texas should have been in over Alabama. Texas has a way better schedule than Alabama, and their losses are way better than Alabama. They lost only to top 10 teams. And
And
Texas looked incredible to end the year.
And BYU for me is a little bit of a different thing because they lost to Texas Tech twice. It wasn't close. And I've seen BYU simply because I watch a lot of Big 12 football. They Arizona almost beat them. It took them double
I
overtime
get
in
that,
order to
but
beat them.
Bama just got
So
the shit beat out of them to Georgia, and the game doesn't matter because it was for the
I
title.
don't even agree Alabama shouldn't even have been in there. You have 3 losses. Every other team has 2 or none, max 2. But I'm more for Notre Dame. I'd be more for Texas.
Yeah,
BYU, I get a little bit why they're out, but
I
again,
get why they're out, but I'm just saying the logic they used for Bama should have applied to BYU at that point, and BYU should have been in over Bama. Even if they were in over Notre Dame, that's fine. If you're going to apply that logic, be consistent. Yeah, they beat Georgia a couple weeks ago, but then they got the break speed off of them, and they still have 3 losses. So if you're going to use that logic, then use it for the same team that just lost to the number 2 seed twice. I don't know.
It's like me and Guy were talking last week, and this is not that fun anymore. College football, it's gotten so just out of control, and
It's because of the NIL. The NIL's got to go, or it's got to be regulated or something. It's just nobody's thing. I mean, you got DJ Legway transferring now. He's probably going to go to Miami. Like it's just these guys are just hopping to and from. I get they got to make their money, and I respect it, but it's just it's almost annoying at this point. It really is. It's turned into what like prop betting has turned into the to the MLB and the NFL and all that kind of stuff. Like it makes the games not fun.
Right. And then I think that's the first round. So we covered all those games. Of course, you got several other bowl games. I think there's one on right now. Oh yeah, the Ventures Bowl with Louisiana and Delaware.
We had USF play today against Old Dominion, and USF, their quarterback, who was on Heisman watch for a good part of the year, just decided he didn't want to play. Like bowl games mean nothing anymore. It's so sad.
Well, and then it poses a question too, like what's the point of even conference championship games at this point if it's not gonna matter?
To me,
it's just
there's no point. And then the only point is if Alabama had beat Georgia somehow, I'm sure they would have gave Bama Georgia's seed and flipped Georgia out for whatever reason they wanted to do it. It's just it's cherry picked. They're only useful when it's beneficial. The SEC bias has also gotten so out of control. It makes watching ESPN unenjoyable because all they do is shove Alabama down your throat. It's like I'm not Bonnie Blue. I don't want to get throat fucked by Alabama back here. Okay, like that's great that you guys like them, but just because you like them doesn't mean that we need to be fisted and shown how good they are when they're not. Like we get it.
That was a great analogy. Even Guy's still laughing.
I'm sorry. Like maybe that's super out of pocket, but it's just what it is. It really
No,
is.
it's true. It's true though. That's how they are with the SEC. All right. Well, let's transition over to MLB because Sean, you missed last week, and I was so upset because I'm like, oh, you're not here. We had finally some big trades, and then we had some more over the last couple of days. Guy, it seems like the Mets are just picking up every former Yankee that they can.
Yeah, I hate that.
That was
Especially with how, like, I'm getting the details of how Diaz left, and you're just filling it in with ex-Yankee relievers. To me, that's kind of lazy. Lazy front office. I would have liked Diaz and Williams. Weaver's kind of like we'll see if he bounces back kind of a thing. But I don't know about that. I know you're trying to allocate, whatever money it was that you were going to save on the Diaz contract and try to get, quantity, but I like quality. more than quantity. And I think it's hard to replicate what Diaz is and the presence that he brings. Um, you know, he'll have his moments where you sweat it out, but I trust him over the three guys that we've gotten from the Yankees. And that includes Clay Holmes from last year. You know, to me, it's just lazy. And I don't know what he's trying to do because we still have other holes to fill. But it, it it might not be the last Yankee that we sign, right? Bellinger might come to Queens as well. So let's see what happens. But I'm still waiting on Stearns to see what his plan is.
Sean, I want to get your thoughts on basically everything that's happened in MLB free agency the last like 2 weeks.
I still cannot believe that Pete Alonso went to the Baltimore Orioles. Can't believe it. I for that price too. Like I honestly thought that was a pretty good contract. Like there was like 30 mil a year. And I thought Kyle Schwarber's contract was a steal. I mean, both of those deals, I feel like other teams could have offered the same amount of money and been fine. And I don't know. I was very perplexed at when I saw both of them. I know that Schwarber probably gave the Phillies a hometown discount, right? Like probably say, hey, I'll take a little bit less to stay here. But I couldn't believe that was Pete Alonso's best offer. Like there had to have been other teams that offered him money. And then to Guy's point, I don't understand what the Mets are doing. To me, I thought that the Yankees had the worst bullpen out of any MLB team last year. And then you're just saying, hey, we'll pay all of your guys, so you don't have to worry about them. We'll bring them all over here. And I do think Bellinger probably does end up in New York because I think Kyle Tucker ends up signing with the Yankees or the Dodgers, one of the two. But we haven't really we've seen like a lot of like the little signings and stuff. But minus like Schwarber and Alonso, there hasn't been like any massive signings yet. Like all the players we're waiting on. You know what I mean? So
No, I get it.
it's just been a slow 2 weeks. Like we've had those big deals. We've seen a little bit of the trades. I'm not. I've like been paying slight attention, but I haven't been paying attention enough to like sit here and rattle off everything off the top of my head. But I know that there's been nothing that's like unexpected, minus Alonso to Baltimore, and I think that's not bad for Baltimore just because I do think they have a lot of players that have potential to bounce back next year. So it'll be interesting to see.
Right.
The good thing about Pete too is that he plays every day,
Mm-hmm.
and you have
Yep.
that presence in your lineup for like 162 games. The craziest thing though, bro, is that the Mets didn't even offer him a contract,
I
which
didn't
is
even know that. I didn't even
yeah,
know if they let him walk for free.
nothing.
Oh wow, yeah, that's insane. I felt like that for 30 mil a year, I would have taken him all day, every single day, on holidays as well. There's
Yeah,
no way.
Crazy. Obviously stuff to keep an eye on, but anything else with MLB, because we got an NBA Cup winner in the New York Knicks.
Yeah, we do.
How did you guys, let me ask, because is it the Knicks that aren't going to hang the banner? Is that what they said? They're not going to hang that banner in their,
yeah, they said that.
I don't necessarily blame them, but Guy, overall thoughts, Knicks look great. I mean, they did last year too, though, so.
I mean, I don't really give the cup that much of credence. Like it kind of is what it is. It's a money grab.
They're calling it a championship.
Yeah, which is a stretch, and I guess this is something for the Knicks to celebrate. They've gotten pressure from the outside not to hang the banner because the Lakers and the Bucks did. But I know that maybe in 10 years this thing isn't what it is now. But how much do you celebrate a cup like this, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, what does it really show? Like I thought that from a Spurs perspective, us beating the Thunder was more of a big deal than if we won the cup. because the Thunder are clearly the best team in the league, and just for our growth and development, being able to hang with them and win that game was huge, right? And learning experience. Even losing to the Knicks in the Cup, it's, I guess, a big game feel, and you just learned that experience. But did we really find anything else out new from the Knicks or anything like that? No, I think they're the same team, and they have a clearer path to the finals if they get there, with the injuries in the East with Tatum, Halliburton, and their biggest competition is probably Detroit at this point. But yeah, how much do you celebrate the Cup? In the grand scheme of things, I think it's just a meaningless title, and it's just a payday. I mean, they had to incentivize it to make these guys care about the game, right? So
Sean?
Yeah, that was I was gonna point that out if you didn't at the end, guy. It's one game. You're not. It's not a 7 game series. Um, you had to pay people to feel like it was worth doing, quite frankly. And honestly, it's kind of crazy because you had to pay these players, and they're going and donating all the money. So really, what it is, it's the PR thing. You're getting the
yep.
players to look better because they're going and donating all the money to the staff and whatnot. It's cool. I get it. Cat donated like 500,000 to some Dominican charity, and it's cool, but it's to me, it's not a 7 game series. Um, it was, as Guy said, I'm an OKC fan. Obviously, that was a bigger win for San Antonio than it was for the Knicks to win it. Quite frankly, and I don't think that the Knicks would beat the Spurs in a 7 game series, and I sure as shit don't think they'd beat the Thunder in a 7 game series, or the Nuggets, or anybody, right? So you're playing one game against a Western team, which is cool, but the relevance and the value of it is almost none, because you had to incentivize it so much and make it seem so important. I actually thought what was cooler was having Blake Griffin and co on there, and they were actually breaking the game down and explaining the game on a learning level for people. And I think that that kind of stuff that they're incorporating is more valuable for the fans than some cup is. So I will give the NBA its kudos on what they've done in this and the people that they've brought in to talk about the game and educate people, and explain defensive schemes and offensive schemes. I find that really cool.
Oh,
And I appreciate things like that too. Guy?
oh yeah. To Sean's point, I remember Dirk Nowitzki talking about OG Anunoby coming to him in the offseason and asking him about spacing and shooting, and he's made remarkable jumps on the offensive side of his game. And to your point about the teaching of the game, they've hired great, you know, ex players to just really give their knowledge and expertise. And he was talking about how he puts his fingers on the train tracks of the ball, right? And he's like, good shooters, they're either gonna miss long or miss short, never gonna miss right or left. And just the positioning of his fingers on the ball, and if you're a young kid watching that, this is just free game for you, man. And that is the best part of all this, right? With the cup and all that, it's the teachable moments for the young kids that are playing AAU or in their schools. Like, we have guys that are teaching us the fundamentals of the game, to see the game differently and not just run and shoot with what the NBA kind of is right now.
Yep.
Yep. Anything else on NBA? Did I cover everything? I feel like this was like a crazy week. I feel like I covered everything. I know last week, Guy, you almost reminded me. I forgot to mention the World Cup groups and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's coming.
I
The
know.
storm is coming.
All right. Well, I got my rant out the way. Who wants to go first?
I got mine ready. I can go,
Let's hear it.
because I'll tell you what. So I'm watching and bring it right back to the Bucks Falcons game. I'm watching it with my fiance. We're watching the whole game. The Falcons score, and I think it's 20-28 at that point, or whatever it was, 18-28, whatever it was, and they go out and they go for two. And I am so over the analytics of the go for two. Oh, AI said this. Here's the thing. If they just went for the field goal or the extra point and they went for the extra point on the next one, they would have tied the game. Instead, they didn't get either of them. And now you had to go kick a field goal to win the game. It would have been a tie game. So at the very least, you would have been able to go to overtime. At the very least, if worst comes to worst. I am just so sick of hearing all this, and all of these teams are doing it. The Browns did it a couple weeks ago against the Titans and lost by two because they went for two twice. Get your fucking points. And I told her, we're watching the game, and I'm like, they're gonna go for two, and they're gonna say because of analytics, right? Sure as shit, 5 seconds later, like, yeah, they're going for two because the analytics say. And it's like the analytics were never this until this year. This go for two trend has gotten way out of control. It is every other team is doing it at this point. It's like give yourself a chance to tie the game. You're not giving yourself a chance to tie the game when you go for two and you have about a 30% chance to get it, if that, and you don't, and now you got to go for two again. So you're giving yourself even worse odds. It's just frustrating to me, and I don't even understand the data, the AI, whatever it is, what percentage points it's giving. It's all just beyond frustrating to me at this point. And it's like I want to see teams give themselves a chance to win, not put themselves in a position where they have to go to two for two to tie it now. And even then they don't get it, and now you lose the game by two and you look like a dumbass.
Guy, anything to add? I mean, for me, the only going for two is in that Bengals game when the Jets made a ballsy move and went for two. But even I was like, why are you going for it? They got it, and that's what allowed them to win the game. But I was like, you can just tie, and we can just take this into overtime. You know what I mean? Anyways, Guy, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like it's definitely the analytics trend, but it's also like a macho thing, right? Like where like guys we're trying to go for two because it's like more of a manly thing to do than just go for one, right? So like the more aggressive teams are trying to go for two, but like if you don't have a sure thing where you could hand the ball off to like a crazy strong running back or whatever the case may be, like the tush push kind of thing where like it's
Yeah, but
success
it's
rate.
still 2 yards out. Like it's not a
Yeah,
guaranteed thing. Like even if you have prime Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor running backs aren't getting 2 yards every single play all the time. That's not like a thing. You know what I mean? Like I get the yards per carry, like is 3 or 4 for a lot of running backs, but like in goal line packages, you can't line up and show that you're running it. It has to either be play action or some sort of design cut blocks, whatever it is. It's not occurring at all. It's these gadget plays, these shitty fade routes where we already know what's going to happen. I can watch the football game and tell you what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing creative at all. It's almost obnoxious, you know? If it was from like the one, that's a different story, but from the two, like that 1 yard makes a huge difference.
yeah, and that's why like I said it has to probably do with like ego and machismo too. Like, yeah, we're gonna go for two because this is football, and they're kind of trying to phase out the kicker a little bit in that kind of play, right? I guess it's more aesthetically pleasing to try to go for two as well. But that I would go for the sure thing more than the risk. Especially if I don't have a great quarterback.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I see the worst drawn up plays on that 2 point conversion too. I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? That was the
Yep.
worst play I've ever seen. Or you see it get really blown up and you lose like 10 yards. Crazy. All right, Guy.
Yeah, I mean I kind of had my rant with the NBA Cup, but I'll expand upon that because I'm in the New York area, and let's pump the brakes, Knicks fans. You didn't really win anything by winning this cup. If it makes you feel good that you won this, great, congratulations. But the real tournament starts in late April. You know that's when you're really gonna have to bring it. So all this talk, all this bravado, make sure it's there when it counts. Because luckily they don't have to go through the gauntlet that's the Western Conference. You know, to come out the West is gonna take you know exponentially more effort. Uh,
Luck.
yeah,
Luck.
luck. You're gonna have to survive, right? Like the I think this season is just made for the Knicks to finally make it to the finals and see what happens. I know that the league loves nothing more than their big brands to go in there, uh, and I could see them facing the Thunder this year. Um, but I don't think that would be a competitive finals actually. Like that they don't match up well. And like you said, Sean, in a 7-game series, when you really see the adjustments, like anybody could beat anybody in one game, but over this course of a series, you fall into tendencies and all that. And you know, the Spurs are still young. I do want to say like Wemby's grandma passed before the game happened, and that I think it kind of affected him a little bit. And
He's the worst player
condolences.
on the court.
Yeah,
Statistically, he was the worst player on the court. So you could
y-
very obviously tell um, that something was going on with him. And I even said that when I was like afterwards, I was like, "There's something more going on here." And a couple hours later, they announced the grandma thing. I'm like, that makes total sense. Watching what I watched.
yeah, he was out of it. You could tell mentally he had bigger things on his mind than the game. And it's hard to ask anybody to play in those circumstances because everybody grieves differently. And he's still a kid. He's 21, got the weight of the world on his shoulders, really, because he's primed to be the face of the NBA globally. But yeah, I think they won more in the loss than the Knicks did in the win, and that I think needs to be the moral of the story here.
Yep.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Sean, before we hop off here, I wanted to say last week the Suns got destroyed.
I know. I was gonna actually text you personally, but I was like, I'm gonna leave her alone. That was
It
a
was
that
so
was an
bad.
ass whooping. I was like, golly, it was up like 40 at half or something, right? I forgot what
Mhm.
it was. It's like 36 or 40. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I straight up turned it off, and then I was pissed off at the Suns Lakers game the other day because I just feel like that Dylan Brooks, and I think I said this like kind of when the Suns first got him. First of all, I can't stand him. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
exactly why we lost that game. Is like
Yeah.
that's
Like,
why I personally don't like him. You know what I mean? I like the
mhm.
energy he brings, but I'm like, dude, I need you to control it in
Yeah.
those type of moments. You're never gonna get. He's he's like a Draymond Green type of guy. You're not gonna get it going in your
But he's
favor.
not as good
And
as Draymond. That's the issue,
right,
right?
right.
Like Draymond's at least the lead at defense. Like he's good on at defense, but he's not gonna to win you a game and lock down your best player. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then to lose kind of just the way that they did after that, you shot the game winning three, and then to lose like that, it just was so fucking annoying,
Yeah.
so fucking annoying. But we long basketball season still ahead.
Yeah.
A lot of good college basketball has been very good as well too. So my
Mm-hmm.
Arizona Wildcats sitting at
Best team
number
in the
one.
nation. Yeah.
Number one, rightfully so. And I kept telling people, I'm like, there's a couple people who argue with me about it. I'm like, dude, stop arguing about it. We're number one for a reason. We have the most loaded resume up to date so far. We haven't even started conference play.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, this is no shade to like, Michigan, Duke, none of those teams. You know what I mean? Houston, any of those. It's just going to be a really exciting year, I think, for college basketball. So
Yes.
all right, you guys. Well, that's our show. Appreciate you joining us. Please like and subscribe to the Pop Sports Network and catch us here every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.